Duck Nation, welcome back. This is SC Romero of the CFB Nation here to talk about a great victory and what it feels like going into the Big Ten, maybe. CFB Nation, this is the O.
All right, everybody got goals and aspirations. You know how you get those? You be the best where you're at.
What does Evan Stewart bring to the table here? In short, you get a baller.
The grass is not always green. In fact, the grass is damn green in Eugene.
CFB Nation, welcome in. I am SC Romero here to talk to you about the Oregon Ducks. Now, last we spoke, it was before their bye week, and we were talking about how 10-2, how the first 10 quarters looked really sloppy for them, and then the last two it kind of brought it in. So we took off a bye week, had to regain some composure there because man, it's frustrating to see them playing and being so explosive in what they are. Let's get into the Big Ten matchup. So you say against UCLA, right? Their first kind of test here. It looked good to start. They were doing some shots downfield. They were making some plays. You saw some of the playmakers be elusive on the field, which is what we want to see in the offense. And it looked really nice. It looked very good in that first half. And then we had an interception from Dylan Gabriel, an interception that wasn't just an interception, it was a pick six. So mistakes happen. All right, you can dust that off and go over it. That's fine. And it's about, how do you get back up? How do you bounce up? Ugly interception, yes, in the end zone, 100%. How do you get back from it? And this what leads me into, category one here, play to win. We're used to Oregon blowing out folks. And when I say blow out, I mean like they're covering like minus 30 spreads. Like they're just blowing these guys out. I haven't seen that passion or that energy quite yet here. We see glimpses of it. Don't get me wrong. We see some big plays capabilities happening, but then we see them play conservative. Like they're not playing to win. They're playing not to lose. And there is a difference in there. You play to win. You don't care if you're up 100-0. You're going to go down and score another touchdown to be up 106-0. I feel at times Oregon, if they're taking the lead, they're like, all right, now we can't let this lead go. We just got to play to stay ahead instead of play to continue racking up the points and scoring. And we saw that kind of here. Like during the second half, we see less yards, right? They had back-to-back punts after not having one punt the entire first half. They had back-to-back punts to open up the second half. Now, maybe that's UCLA adjusting correctly and understanding certain things. But again, I feel that's Oregon not necessarily taking the shots. Like if your passing game is working, why are you going to continue to run this ball when you're getting the big plays down, when you're helping that build up? 6.6 yards per pass versus UCLA, huge. But again, that's where the playmakers come in, right? We know Tez Johnson could do that. Trayshawn Holden's looking great too. It comes to understanding, we know Bo Nix didn't have a great depth of target. It's about the playmakers. That was something that he plays close to the test. But again, they utilize their playmakers and what they can do. And that leads me to a receipt. Let's check it. Go back to some earlier episodes of the Yo. I was saying who the wide receiver 1 for this season is, and that is none other than Tez Johnson. Yes, I said that, and it's happening right now. Tez Johnson is out here balling. For the Oregon Ducks currently leading the team in receptions with 33 receptions, 311 yards. Everyone was all about Evan Stewart coming in. And don't get me wrong, I do like Evan Stewart too, but it's Tez Johnson's shows. He knows this offense. He's capable of becoming this leader. He has become the leader. He has been that favorite target for Dylan Gabriel. And that's something on the coaches. They're not, it doesn't look like they're building up on Evan Stewart. 3 receptions for 9 yards past week. They're not building plays around him. And I get it. Like Tez Johnson's balling out of control, right? Trayshawn Holden's looking good, but Evan Stewart is a playmaker. And this led me into saying why I believe Evan Stewart comes back before the season even started. Why I think Evan Stewart isn't coming out this year, because he's not going to be the wide receiver 1 on the team. It's going to be Tez Johnson, and he's going to force Evan Stewart to stand back a year, which will be good for him in his development to stand back a year. And now he's going to be with Dante Moore, Decorian Moore. This offense is going to be more electric next year with it as well. But either way, you have Evan Stewart, the playmaker. You need to get him the ball more. You need to find ways to get him the ball a lot more. Tez Johnson out here balling out of control. You love to see it. Again, leading the team. Tight end, 2-point conversion. very great. Again, the plays that they were doing were making some big deals, and again, it feels at times they brought it back in, like they wanted to take away from um, some trick plays they were doing. They wanted to take away from some big downfield shots they were doing and start bringing it closer to the chest. And it's like, why, if that's working, continue to do it? Maybe that has to do with Gabriel. Gabriel, again, he's looking nice, right? You can bring up the completion percentage, over 80% completion percentage. That looks good. But it's what are they doing with that? They're taking these early shots, these quick shots for him to do that. Bo Nix has some time to move around. He uses his feet to move around. We know Dylan Gabriel has the feet too. We've seen it. We've seen those explosive takes where he takes off with his feet, has some big runs, possible touchdowns as well. We know he can do it. I'm not saying draw up plays to the sign Dylan Gabriel to run the ball, but he needs to be using his feet more effectively to escape any kind of pressure or just to extend plays. Doesn't necessarily need to be pressure coming in. The pocket could hold up, but yet we still see Dylan Gabriel just kind of maintaining that pocket instead of trying to extend the play to get his wide receivers open down the field. He just takes the shot early, closer to him, and let his receivers do that. And that's not okay. You want to do that? That's fine. But God, man, we see you taking shots. Take the shots because they're working. Take the shots because they're working for you down the field, and that's gonna be big. And the big pressure. I want to shout out the defense because 15 total pressures this past week. Again, we're talking about the Big Ten. We had to bring the physicality. So these defenders, they had to continue to bring pressure. It's going to be huge for them to get on some of these quarterbacks because, believe it or not, UCLA had some hype coming into the season. They haven't been looking great. So this should have been a dub. Like, this is a great win, and I'm not taking anything away from the victories, right? Let's go undefeated. But again, this was a win that it was marked on paper. This was going to be a win. Next week is marked on paper. It's going to be a win, right? And that's because UCLA was in the Pac-12. We know what they can run, right? They're a Pac-12 team. And guess what? I know Michigan State was in the Big Ten last year. They're still in the Big Ten. But Michigan State has the former Oregon State quarterback. Michigan State has the former Oregon State head coach. Yes, this is a Big Ten program, right? But this is still a Pac-12 mindset. So to me, this next week should be a win as well because we know this kind of style of this coach. We understand what they can run. Michigan State looks okay. They've struggled. They have their big things. Aiden Childs is doing his thing right there for them. They're missing a solid wide receiver and Nick Marsh with injury. Those are going to be huge, and Oregon should blow them out. Right, this would be a big win where we're going to see these things working out. You need to take the shots. If the shots downfield are working, continue to take the shots downfield. If they're not, bring it back, play closer to the chest. Let your running back and Jordan James continue his 6 yards per carry. Let Noah Whittington get some more groove. It still seems like he's also, we see the glimpses of, okay, this is some brilliant plays, and then we see it's not looking like he's back quite yet 100%, right? So all these things need to change for them as they're still finding the groove. But guess what? Luckily, they have next week to prepare for Michigan State. Should be a win. Why? Because, yes, it's a Big Ten team, but we're still playing in the Pac-12 mindset. This past week, still a Pac-12 mindset. To me, the official Big Ten game, like the welcome to the Big Ten game, isn't happening until 2 weeks, until they play Ohio State, which is not this next week, the following week, October 12th. That's going to be the matchup for the season. That's going to be it, right? That's going to be a big matchup. If you can beat Ohio State, luckily they're playing at Autzen. So it's going to be in Oregon. So Autzen Stadium, get loud. Oregon Ducks, get loud. That's going to be a huge week. But Ohio State comes to play. This Michigan State game will tell a lot because if we struggle against them and we're not blowing out the water and we're not playing to win, we're playing not to lose, I don't know if we're going to be ready for Ohio State. Ohio State has some playmakers. And the beautiful thing is I do trust our defensive backs, right? We talked about Nico Reed before. We talked about Jabbar Muhammad, right? Kobe Savage. We have these guys. I do trust our defensive backs. But Ohio State has more than just wide receivers. I know it's wide receiver U. They have more than just wide receivers. Which, again, goes back to the big pressure, the physicality. You talk about their running backs, Quinshawn Judkins and even Travion Henderson. The big pressure, forming pressure inside the front seven, at the line of scrimmage, closing the gaps so running backs are getting into it. Let our defensive backs that do great in some man coverage continue this man coverage and lock down some of these wide receivers. Or if you need to let one go, if it's Michael Ibuka, let him go. Do those kind of things. Those will be big. This next week, there's some things we need to change, right? We need to be more, more. What's the word I'm looking for? Like more go-getter mentality. More, this isn't good enough, Right now, I feel, is Michigan State a trap game? Nah, no, I wouldn't say as much as a trap. I mean, you could say it because technically it's like Oregon State again, right? It could be a trap, but no, this is a game that we I say we should, and I say we should because I said the first 3 weeks we should. I said the first 3 weeks matter on how we play. We should win this matchup. We should win this matchup against Michigan State. Why? Because we know what kind of schemes they're running there. Aiden Childs isn't looking great, right? He's has more interceptions than touchdowns right now. I think the defense is going to help us win this game because they're going to force turnovers, which is going to allow Dylan Gabriel to be in good field position to just get easy scores. So as much as I say, yes, we did make those shots down the field, we may not need to as much because our defense will jump on it. I really like the way our defensive backs are playing right now. Lights out mentality here. Again, it's like, all right, what are the wide receivers they've been facing? That could be a question. The run game for Michigan State is looking, it's all right. It can be stopped, right? And I think we have the front seven to be able to do that. Again, we're getting better when it comes to the tackling, right? Where we're not missing as many as we have in the games previous to this past one. So they're understanding a lot more what they need to do. It seems like the front seven's coming around to actually be that physical nature and what they tried for all camp, right? And we're seeing it grow and grow and grow. And again, this is going to be a nice test because it's going to be like, okay, this is what we had to do to continue. We saw that continue, that defensive front continue. The defense has gotten better where I feel the offense has gotten like, all right, we're skyrocketing up, but then they plateau. And then they go up again, and then they plateau. And it's like, bro, I don't want this plateau stuff. I want, just the gains. Continue to skyrocket up. Again, I don't care if you're 100 points up. You go down there and you score another touchdown. That's the Oregon Duck mentality. We're out there to win. We're not out there to get by. We're not out there to just say, oh, okay, we're up. Let's play conservative now. Let's run the ball. Nah, you're gonna go out there and take these shots down the field because this is where the energy is. This is where the speed comes in. This is where Big Ten teams aren't ready for us. Right now they are because we're not playing Oregon football. We're staying away from these kind of big shots. And it's like, why? This is Oregon football. Design these plays up. We have playmakers to do it. We have guys that are stepping up. Shout out Trayshawn Holden. We have guys that are stepping up to say, hey, I'm here. Shout out Terrence Ferguson, Kenyon Sadiq. These guys are stepping up, right? And to make it happen, we have a playmaker in Evan Stewart. Have him come out. I know we have these guys to be able to make these big plays. I don't understand why we're not taking more shots downfield. Has Will Stein leased the whole? Nah. And that could be it too, because as you see it through the first 3 weeks, again, that concerted play like we weren't doing it. We're seeing pieces be unlocked. It's like they're a lockpick and they're locking, unlocking the lock here. Like we're slowly getting it to unleash more and more and more. And that hope is that we will continue to see that. And maybe it's because we don't want our playbook out for the Big Ten teams, right? Because we want them to think, oh, this is the Oregon from last year. Go watch last year's shape, and this is what we're running. And they're slowly doing things differently. So maybe that's the key. And maybe when we go into, Big Ten matchups, we're going to say, okay, now look at what we could do. This is what the new Oregon Ducks looks like. And that's the hope, right? This UCLA game, I get it. They're in the Big Ten as well, but this was a Pac-12 matchup. We played UCLA before. This was nothing like, all right, we're going to change the script on them or anything. This was a Pac-12 matchup. This was an expected win. Michigan State should be an expected win. This should be something big. So we still have some time to get it together. I do appreciate the wins. We're undefeated right now. It looks good, right? We had Ole Miss lose, so they may go down. Maybe Oregon moves up, whatever it may be. We're doing good things right now because we're getting the dub. And at the end of the day, the dub does matter. But this isn't the Oregon team we saw last year. This isn't the explosive Oregon team we saw. This is like, to me, I would say this is like a 30% of what we saw last year. I don't think we're even at 50% quite yet. I think at times on certain plays, we're like, oh, this is the 100% to play. But then we go back to like, all right, let's bring it back a little bit. Like they are ready for it, right? It's like you want to get out because you're like, this isn't the Oregon team, but then they shuck you back in, right? And you're like, oh, there's the big play. That's the energy we need. We need that consistently, though, because that's what Oregon's about, right? I'm used to seeing Oregon throw up 50 points a game. And we're struggling to get there. It's been a hard road as of late to get there, and that can't be what we are when we face these tougher Big Ten matchups. If we want to bend the Big Ten, we need to continue this explosiveness. The defense can handle the physicality. Let them get physical. That's why you brought some of these defenders in on the defensive side, in the secondary. These physical beasts of natures that like to get gritty at the line of scrimmage, press your wide receivers, and get hands on the ball. Jabbar Muhammad, as I mentioned, Nico Reed, as I mentioned. We have these guys. Let them do the physical side. But the Oregon offense, I don't want to see this conservative stuff. I don't want to see us go up 14, 21 points, and then we're playing not to lose. Guess what? When you play not to lose, chances are you end up losing because you're just playing too conservative. You're not allowing those sides to continue. Play to win every single down. Doesn't matter if you're winning 50-0. You play to win like it's 50-50. Every possession, it's a tie game, and you got to go down there and score the ball. That's the Oregon Ducks team we're used to. That's the Oregon Ducks team we need to see. That's something that I have yet to see this year, and I hope it comes to light. Dylan Gabriel, I get you. Over 80% completion. That's great. Jackson Powers Johnson is truly missed. 100%, man. Shout out JPJ, one of the greatest centers of all time. I believe he did phenomenal. And with that, that's what we talked about last time, where we need a leader on the offensive line, right? We need someone like Cornelius to come in. Bedford's been banged up, so that could be a huge piece coming in when he's finally healthy, right? We need someone to step up and become something of a leader, because JPJ was that. And we haven't seen someone take over that leadership role on the line, and that's huge. And I think it goes to show how big of an impact he was. And we're seeing that right now. That's some big things to happen. And I agree. He was truly missed, and it's one of those you don't know what you have until it's gone, right? And shout out JPJ. He's doing this thing with the Raiders, and that's great. But man, truly missed for sure. But I do believe there is some light. We're seeing some light, right? We're seeing these glimpses. As I mentioned, 10-2, we're seeing some glimpses to this game. But it's like the Oregon Ducks we know, when we were holding up it's all about do it throughout the full game. Stop playing conservative. When things are working, continue to beat that down and let it work until it doesn't. Take the shots down the field. Get your playmakers involved. And let's go win some football games the way the Oregon Ducks win some football games. Not the way that it's just getting by. We're not Colorado. We're not just getting by. Let's take some shots. Let's go out there and win big, because that's what we do in Oregon. Ladies and gentlemen, until next time, I'm SC Romero. This is the O. Peace.
All right, everybody got goals and aspirations. You know how you get those? Be the best where you're at.
What does Evan Stewart bring to the table here? In short, you get a ball.
The grass is not always green. In fact, the grass is damn green in Eugene.